Okay. Well, hello, friends and neighbors from around the world. Sid High here again with a sermon on the internet and propaganda. So here's a little of my background that is relevant to this subject. At 19, I joined the U.S. Air Force as a computer operator. I was trained to operate mainframe computers, and after getting an honorable discharge, I spent a few years living on Folly Beach, South Carolina, playing music and working at a motorcycle shop. Before going back to work in the computer biz at St. Francis Hospital in Charleston, South Carolina. A very fun gig. And then moving to Nashville, to Tennessee, to work at Baptist Hospital, which is now Ascension Healthcare, which was also a really fun job up until about the end. Then it got kind of weird with COVID and everything. But I won't cover all of the things that I've done in IT, which is a lot. So I'll jump to the relevant part, which is that I spent the last 20 years of my career as a network engineer specializing in internet security. So let's just say that it was a high-stress job on many occasions. But today I'm not going to talk about the dangers of the internet that I made a career out of stopping. No, I'm going to talk about something even more sinister than those dangers, and that is the internet being used as a propaganda tool. In full disclosure, I do use Copilot to look up information and then parse it down and comment on it. So that said, let's begin with a quick review. Here is a list of the 7 traditional great powers that were the dominant forces shaping global affairs before mass electronic media. Military power, armies and warfare as tools of conquest and control. Economic power, industrial capacity, trade, and financial influence. Political power, governance, lawmaking, and statescraft. Diplomatic power, alliances, treaties, and international negotiation. Cultural power, art, education, and national identity formation. Religious power, moral authority, and spiritual influence over populations. That's a biggie right there. Scientific and technological power, innovation, industrialization, and mechanization. Also very important and pertinent to this. And while these 7 are still great powers, I would argue that every great power that has come after this are exponentially more powerful because of the sinister ways that propaganda can spread through the use of new forms of media. So let's cover those. Nazi minister of propaganda Goebbels saw radio as the 8th great power because it unified the masses, which I covered in Sermon 26. Television became the 9th by adding image and spectacle, which I covered in Sermon 28. Digital platforms are the 10th because they fragment, personalize, and manipulate quietly, invisibly, and globally. That is a huge statement right there, and is what I'm covering here in Sermon 29. All right, digital platforms, the 10th great power. Enter the internet, social media, and algorithmic ecosystems. These platforms didn't just add interactivity, they redefined power. Decentralized propaganda. Anyone can be a broadcaster, really anyone. From state actors to influencers, the gatekeepers are gone. Memes, TikToks, and viral tweets now shape political discourse more than editorials. On the positive side, it does allow non-corporate media to have a voice, so there is hope. Algorithmic control. Platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and X use algorithms to amplify engagement, not truth. Another so important statement. This creates echo chambers, radicalization pipelines, and emotional manipulation at scale, and this is why it is so important to understand cult characteristics and the cult techniques used to recruit. And we have already seen multiple occurrences of individuals being radicalized by what they saw on the internet to the point of committing horrible acts of violence. So yes, propaganda is that sinister. Here's an anonymous quote here. I don't know who said this, but if television was the opiate of the masses, social media is the amphetamine of the individual. All right, Next, we'll talk about surveillance and micro-targeting. Regimes and corporations use data to predict and influence behavior from voting to shopping. Cambridge Analytica showed how psychographic profiling could sway elections. Man, I could go a long way into the weeds on this one and might make another video about micro-targeting and psychographics. The reporting that I have seen state that Cambridge Analytica had access to an internet database, which means they got access to basically everyone's internet usage. This is huge. It can go much deeper than that, but let's just focus on this for a second. Every device on the internet has an IP or internet protocol address, which is similar to a phone number that you can tell where the address is by its subnet, which is analogous to the area code. This is extremely simplified, but using this database, one could search for traffic activity, which might indicate a political bias, then see where that traffic is the heaviest, then focus our advertising dollars in those areas to have the biggest impact. But this kind of information can be used for other propaganda as well. Might have to go into that in another video too, because that is just so huge. Digital authoritarianism. China's Great Firewall, Russia's troll farms, and Iran's internet blackout show how regimes weaponize digital platforms. Even democracies face soft censorship via demonetization, shadow banning, and algorithmic suppression. Influencers as ideological vectors. Influencers now rival journalists and politicians in shaping public opinion, which is huge. Their power lies in parasocial intimacy. That's a good one. Followers feel they know them, trust them, and mimic them, even though they don't personally know them. This makes them ideal vessels for subtle propaganda, brand messaging, and political ideology. Feedback loop of power, another biggie. Unlike TV, digital platforms create a feedback loop. You engage, the algorithm learns, it feeds you more, you radicalize or conform. This loop is invisible, personalized, and addictive. Keep that in mind while we dive into how the evolution from radio to television to digital platforms reshaped environmental messaging, religious discourse, and the framing of golden ages. Each a battleground for propaganda, persuasion, and public imagination. Television era, the ninth great power, we talked about that. Visual guilt and awe. Television brought pollution and deforestation into living rooms, smokestacks, oil spills, dying animals. Think of the ad with the crying Native American in the 1970s, Keep America Beautiful, PSA, which was a good thought, but there's a whole lot more to that. Corporate greenwashing, companies using TV ads to appear eco-friendly while lobbying against regulations. Another biggie. BP's Beyond Petroleum campaign is a classic example. Yeah. Digital era, 10th great power. Algorithmic activism. TikTok and Instagram amplify climate influencers like Greta Thunberg, but also spread misinformation like climate change denial memes. Micro-targeted guilt or pride. Ads and posts tailored echo messaging to your lifestyle, whether you're a vegan, SUV driver, or a suburban gardener. It covers it all. Hashtag movements like # Fridays for Future, # climate emergency. Digital platforms turn slogans into mobile mobilization tools. Another propaganda tip. The shift from centralized guilt-inducing broadcasts to fragmented, personalized echo narratives, some radical, some performative. Religious discourse, from pulpit to algorithms, television era. Televangelism boom. Figures like Billy Graham and Pat Robertson used TV to blend faith, politics, and prosperity gospel. Oh, that's a biggie there. Visualized spectacle. Healing, prophecy, and salvation were dramatized. Faith became performance. The digital era. YouTube theology, sermons, debates, and spiritual influencers cover a wide spectrum of content, such as myself with the Commonalities. algorithmic echo chambers, performance reinforced non-denominational bubbles, Orthodox Jews, progressive Christians, ex-Muslims all get tailored feeds. So, in conclusion, what I am finding is that propaganda is so much more powerful because of the internet than most people understand or can even comprehend. I have found that it is very difficult to fight propaganda with truth and logic. Bernays said, prejudice supersedes logic. I have won many individual battles, so to speak, but still losing the war. I hope that by using the commonalities and the internet to focus on how propaganda is corrupting so many religions, by using real world examples, that people will learn about propaganda and how it is affecting them. We'll see, because I'm going to keep trying, so wish me luck with this. And kind of rushed through that a little bit, trying to get these done. I have a lot of things going on at the moment, so appreciate you bearing with me. Hope I didn't mess that up too bad, because I'm probably not going to have a lot of time for editing it. Anyway, such a big subject. I really could spend hours on this, and I'm just leaving it this for the moment. But to say, hello, Dolly. How important this is, it is just hard to comprehend what has happened. And the next video, or a future video, I should say, I'll be going over artificial intelligence. And the thing about that makes it so scary is we can look back on the things that I've just talked about, radio, TV, the Gutenberg press, internet, but AI is a whole new ballgame that we don't even know what all it's going to do yet. Think about the deep fakes and just how you're not going to be able to believe what you see, and you're going to need to check everything that you hear. Basically, it's going to be an interesting time, so I will cover that more in another video. So thanks again for watching. If you'd like to make a donation to your favorite charity and say it's in honor of the Church of High Thoughts, that's all I'm really asking for. I'm not asking for money for these videos. So if you got anything out of it at all, or you just want to start doing that for the fun of it, because who doesn't like making donations in the name of the Church of High Thoughts? I mean, Anyway, okay, Dolly, say bye. Yeah, right there. Penny, are you out? I guess we're done. Thanks again for watching. See ya.